doesn't think we're completely biased, and not just three Linux people who are bashing on Apple. It's Google did some bad things this week. Well, good, bad, depending how you rate it. They wiped applications off Sun. Apple has the ability to do this. They just haven't done it yet. And WebOS has the ability to do this. Everyone has the ability to do this. I have mixed feelings about this. James, you said you don't really have a problem with it. That Google's wiping the applications.
Well, it all depends on the reason. If it's really necessary, and everyone does it to be able to wipe off apps, and it's as long as they're doing it for malware or some kind of app that they didn't catch, it's fine. As long as people get their money refunded, everything like that, if it costs money, I think it's fine. It all depends how Google uses that power.
What I would almost wish on that is because of, like you say, how Google uses that power thing, is I wish what would happen when something like this was happening is your phone, because y'all don't have Android devices, but here's what Android does every single dang time it connects to the internet in any way, shape, or form. Whether it's over the cell data, whether it's over Wi-Fi, if it has connectivity, it checks for updates or new instructions. It's what it does, because it does everything over the air. You get this little notification in the upper left hand, and I love the notification thing because everything's just in one place. There's a little drop-down menu: emails, IM requests, friend requests, tweets, updates for applications, yada yada and so forth. If it's an update, I get a notification that it's an update. With Android 2.2, I can just do one tap, and it'll just update all those apps. What I would rather this work is it asks me for feedback. It goes, Google has determined this to be malware, yada yada and so forth, why they think it must be removed. To continue to be officially an Android supported device or whatever, do you agree to have this app removed, or are you transitioning to unsupported app mode, whatever, like that little toggle switch you do.
Like kind of what the PlayStation 3 did when it removed Linux?
Yeah, you have to okay this override. They tell you why they're doing it. The downside to this is if somebody's in a breach or something, the only way is a forced override.
Well, I still think that Google should have the option for forcing it without asking, but I think that what you said is a good idea, and they should do that, most of the time they should do it and have it.
Or maybe the default in the OS, because in the settings, I can change the default search. By default, I'm only allowed to install applications that are in the marketplace. But unless the carrier removed this functionality, there's a toggle switch in there where I say, go ahead and let me install applications that make use of external APIs and other stuff, because I want to use them. But I have to enable it. Maybe default is they can remote wipe it for my own protection, but if I'm uber paranoid and think I don't trust Google, I can turn it off. Yeah, it's one of those, do we want an open OS or do we want Google to protect us? There's pros and cons both ways. At the end of the day, I think the choice should be the end users, not necessarily theirs.
And I agree, if only because that's a large part of the Android culture, to have complete control over the experience that your phone can give you.
Well, there's Android and then there's the carrier's Android, which is a fun little war that's going on right now.
Well, yeah, but it's still significantly more so than say Apple, and even so, that ability to customize the phone to you was something that I remember seeing in certain Android advertisements. So
yeah, what is it? Droid does. It's like Droid does a lot of things.
I was actually referring to those MyTouch advertisements where they would have like athletes or whatever talking about how this phone is them.
Yeah, T-Mobile didn't really follow through with that. I still think Google made a big mistake going with T-Mobile and that whole thing. As for another mistake, there was another issue. I don't get why Apple fanboys are making a big deal out of this. The whole Sense UI thing, that Sense UI's uh, taking snapshots of your web pages and saving them in a way that only get deleted if you do a format. In other words, if you restore the phone to factory reset, it doesn't go away. It takes a full restore to get rid of it. I don't see the problem with that. I guess this has to do with the fact that the end user does not think of these devices as a computer, as a thing that has all the data computer. I mean, in this day and age, I know there's people that do it, but you should never sell or let an old computer out of your hands intentionally without wiping it. You just shouldn't do it today. There's too much information on there. This is a problem with every computer. Windows computers, Mac computers, Linux computers. The data's there. Get rid of the data. But all of a sudden, now that this is an issue on cellular devices, we have to panic. You know, it's people don't wipe their devices, therefore the carrier or the manufacturer has to do it for them. I don't know. You got something to take care of?
Well, people have been saying that it can take a partial snapshot of a password, and I think that's because it also takes pictures of everything on the screen, including the keyboard, right?
No, it doesn't take pictures. Well, no. What it takes pictures of is the browser. That's what it's like. Everybody who's watching this, open an internet browser. Firefox, Internet Explorer, whatever. You have a web page there. At any particular second, hit the print screen button and save that. Depending on your OS will depends on whether or not you have to open an application to save it. That's what it's taking a picture of. Not the keyboard, not the sign, just what's in the browser window. Which means if it's displaying anything of a password at all, it's going to display that one character they let you see, because sometimes it's hard to type on these on-screen keyboards. You're going to see one character of a password of unknown character length, with no guarantee that that particular character wasn't a typo and the next key pushed wasn't the backspace. In the grand scheme of things, how useful is that information?
Well,
depends on how many of them are gathered.
Yeah. We all know how long the password is, right?
Say that again?
You will see the asterisk and see how long the password is, and that itself is a big amount of information for people that, try to guess or crack passwords.
Well, yeah, but if you'll notice, and that's one thing many sites have started to deal with, most times when you're looking at a password in asterisk form, it will only display Y asterisks. Like it will display 3 to 6 to 8, and once you get longer than that, it don't display no more. You can keep typing all day long. It don't get any more stars. You're still typing your password. So it's says people realize, you shouldn't be able to see how long my password is. Like when you go into I guess the concern would be you're in your user preferences section and you're seeing all the information and you see like 10 stars, so it's a 10-character password, and you combine that with other information. But more and more pages, when you're in there, you see 3 dots. That's it. That's what you see. You see 3 or 6 dots, even if it's a 27-character password. They don't, because they acknowledge that's a potential breach. And the reaction from and again, this isn't an Android problem. This is an HTC Sense UI problem. And the reaction from HTC to this was, you're right, we need to fix that. We're getting on a patch, it should be released soon. In the meantime, here are 3 simple steps to take care of it yourself. Unlike Apple, who reacted, oh, there is no problem.
Your fault.
Yeah, it's your fault. Operator error. It's we're gonna have to go into this in the next part, but what this is it's Android suffering growing pains, because until recently, all the data on Android devices was on the SIM card, and now the next generation of Android devices coming out have internal memory too. You didn't used to have to wipe the internal memory because the only thing on it was the OS. When you flashed, you got rid of it. Now there's media